Buddhism, as a spiritual tradition, is vast and diverse, with various schools of thought and practice. The ultimate goal for all Buddhist paths is the attainment of enlightenment, or nirvana, a state of liberation from suffering and the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, samsara. However, the approaches to achieving enlightenment and the interpretations of its nature vary greatly across different branches of Buddhism. Among the many schools, Zen Buddhism stands out for its unique approach to enlightenment, particularly the experience of Satori, or sudden realization. In contrast, Tibetan Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism offer different paths to enlightenment, emphasizing gradual development, ritual practices, and doctrinal understanding. This essay will explore how enlightenment is understood and pursued in Zen, Tibetan, and Theravada Buddhism, with particular attention to the Zen Doctrine of No-Self, Anatta, and its implications for personal identity. Before we dive into our deep comparison of Zen, Tibetan, and Theravada Buddhism, welcome to the Unfolding Journey YouTube channel. If you're passionate about exploring the rich and fascinating world of spirituality, philosophy, and personal growth, you've come to the right place. Together, we'll unravel the mysteries of different spiritual traditions, philosophies, and practices that help us seek deeper meaning in our lives. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated on more content that will guide you on your own journey of transformation and enlightenment. Now, let's embark on this exploration into the fascinating world of Buddhism and how each tradition approaches the concept of enlightenment. Zen Buddhism, a school of Mahayana Buddhism, places a unique emphasis on Satori, or sudden enlightenment. Unlike many other Buddhist traditions, Zen emphasizes direct experience over theoretical knowledge or ritual practices. The heart of Zen practice is the experience of awakening in the present moment, often described as an instantaneous realization of the true nature of reality. In Zen, the journey toward enlightenment is not seen as a gradual accumulation of wisdom or virtue, but as an immediate and transformative insight into the nature of existence. Satori is often likened to a sudden, intuitive flash of understanding, an awakening to the interconnectedness of all things and the illusion of the separate self. This realization transcends the intellectual mind, as it is not something that can be conceptualized or grasped through logical reasoning. Instead, it emerges spontaneously through meditation, direct experience, and sometimes through the guidance of a Zen master. A key method used to trigger Satori in Zen practice is Zazen, or seated meditation. During Zazen, practitioners focus on their breath and let go of all distractions, striving to be fully present in the moment. The goal is not to think about the mind or to try to control it, but to allow it to settle into a state of profound stillness. This state of mindlessness is considered the ground in which the seeds of Satori can sprout. The Zen path also includes the use of koans, which are paradoxical questions or statements posed by Zen masters. These koans defy logical reasoning and serve to push the practitioner beyond intellectual thought into a deeper state of insight. For example, a Zen master may ask, "What is the sound of one hand clapping?" The goal is not to solve the koan intellectually, but to transcend the thinking mind and experience a direct realization of truth. Zen's emphasis on Satori reflects the Mahayana Buddhist ideal of bodhisattva, the enlightened being who remains in the world to help others achieve liberation. In Zen, the direct, unmediated experience of enlightenment is not just for the individual. It is a doorway to greater compassion and the ability to guide others. Tibetan Buddhism, with its rich tapestry of rituals, deities, and philosophical teachings, takes a very different approach to enlightenment. Tibetan Buddhists generally emphasize the gradual path to enlightenment through a combination of meditation, ethical conduct, and wisdom. In particular, the teachings of Lamrim, the stages of the path, outline a clear progression toward enlightenment that begins with the cultivation of virtue and culminates in the realization of emptiness, the lack of inherent existence in all phenomena. In Tibetan Buddhism, enlightenment is not typically seen as a sudden, spontaneous event like Satori in Zen. Instead, practitioners follow a more structured path, involving years of study, practice, and accumulation of wisdom. This gradual process involves the purification of the mind through ethical conduct and meditation, and the cultivation of wisdom through study and contemplation of Buddhist teachings. Tibetan Buddhists practice a variety of meditation techniques, including shamatha, calm abiding meditation, and vipassana, insight meditation. Shamatha meditation focuses on developing concentration and mental clarity, often through focusing on the breath or a specific object of meditation. Vipassana meditation, on the other hand, is designed to develop insight into the true nature of reality, particularly the realization of emptiness, which is central to Tibetan Buddhist philosophy. A key feature of Tibetan Buddhism is the concept of lamrim, which outlines the stages of the path toward enlightenment. These stages include practices such as generating bodhicitta, the wish to attain enlightenment for the sake of all beings, practicing generosity, cultivating ethical conduct, and developing wisdom through study and meditation. These teachings are usually passed down from a qualified lama, spiritual teacher, who guides the practitioner along the path. Another important aspect of Tibetan Buddhism is the use of ritual and devotional practices, such as mantra recitation, visualization, and the veneration of deities and spiritual beings. These rituals are believed to help purify the mind and accumulate positive karmic energy, which supports the practitioner's journey toward enlightenment. Tibetan Buddhists also recognize a more systematic approach to the attainment of enlightenment, involving the development of both wisdom and compassion in a balanced manner. While Tibetan Buddhism acknowledges the possibility of sudden insight, as seen in the practice of Dzogchen, a tradition that emphasizes the direct realization of the nature of the mind, the general approach is one of gradual progress through a well-defined path. Theravada Buddhism, often referred to as the teaching of the elders, is the oldest and most orthodox form of Buddhism, primarily practiced in countries such as Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Myanmar. Theravada Buddhists also strive for enlightenment, but their approach is distinctly different from both Zen and Tibetan traditions. In Theravada Buddhism, the path to enlightenment is laid out in the Noble Eightfold Path, a set of guidelines designed to help the practitioner cultivate ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. The Eightfold Path consists of right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These practices are intended to purify the mind and help the practitioner break free from the cycle of suffering and rebirth. Theravada Buddhism places a strong emphasis on individual effort and personal responsibility in the pursuit of enlightenment. The practitioner works through disciplined meditation, ethical conduct, and the cultivation of wisdom to gradually overcome ignorance, craving, and attachment, key causes of suffering. The ultimate goal is nirvana, the cessation of all desires, and the end of the cycle of rebirth. The concept of no-self, Anatta, is central to Theravada Buddhism. According to the teachings of the Buddha, there is no permanent, unchanging self or soul. The belief in a permanent self is seen as a source of suffering, as it leads to attachment, craving, and ultimately, rebirth. The realization of Anatta is a crucial part of the path to enlightenment, as it frees the practitioner from the illusion of a separate, permanent identity and helps them understand the interconnectedness of all beings. In Theravada Buddhism, enlightenment is often seen as a gradual process of purification, culminating in the attainment of arahantship, the state of being an enlightened one who has completely overcome attachment, desire, and ignorance. Unlike in Zen, where Satori is viewed as a sudden awakening, Theravada Buddhism generally emphasizes the slow, methodical progression toward enlightenment. One of the most significant concepts in all of Buddhism is Anatta, or no-self, the teaching that there is no permanent, unchanging self or soul. While this idea is central in all forms of Buddhism, its implications are particularly profound in Zen Buddhism. In Zen, Anatta is understood not only as an intellectual concept but also as a direct experiential realization. Through practices such as zazen and the use of koans, Zen practitioners strive to directly experience the truth of Anatta. In this context, Anatta is not something to be intellectually grasped but to be realized in the present moment, through deep meditation and direct experience of the world as it is, without the lens of a separate self. The realization of Anatta in Zen has profound implications for personal identity. If there is no permanent, unchanging self, then our habitual identification with our thoughts, emotions, and experiences is seen as illusory. This dissolution of the ego opens the door to a deeper, more profound sense of interconnectedness with all beings. In Zen, this realization leads not to a loss of identity, but to a transcendence of the ego-bound self. The practitioner becomes free from the tyranny of personal desires and attachments, experiencing life as it truly is, without the filters of a separate self. In conclusion, the understanding and pursuit of enlightenment in Zen, Tibetan, and Theravada Buddhism reflect distinct paths shaped by their unique practices, philosophies, and cultural contexts. Zen Buddhism emphasizes the sudden, direct realization of Satori through meditation and intuitive insight. Tibetan Buddhism, in contrast, emphasizes the gradual path of study, meditation, and ritual practices, with a focus on developing wisdom and compassion. Theravada Buddhism, the oldest form of Buddhism, emphasizes the path to enlightenment through the systematic practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, culminating in the realization of anatta and nirvana. While the methods and approaches may differ, all three traditions share the common goal of overcoming suffering and attaining enlightenment. In Zen, the doctrine of no-self has profound implications for personal identity, urging the practitioner to transcend the illusion of the separate self and experience the interconnectedness of all things. Through these diverse paths, Buddhism offers a rich and varied journey toward the liberation of the mind and the realization of the true nature of reality. If you found this exploration of Zen, Tibetan, and Theravada Buddhism fascinating, don't forget to subscribe to the Unfolding Journey YouTube channel. Join us as we continue to explore the depths of spiritual traditions, self-realization, and enlightenment. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below, and let's keep unfolding this journey together.